Father, lead us into your word. Help us that we may direct and align our hearts aright. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. Today's message is titled The King's Delicacies. And I read from Daniel chapter 1 verse 8 that says, "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he will not defile himself with the portion of the king's delicacies, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the chief of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself." The text today points us to the need to be able to define ourselves as regard our stand in the faith. 4 Hebrew boys were appointed to serve in the king's palace alongside with many others. They were specially selected from the royal house and the nobles of the Israelites to undergo training for a period of 3 years with a special portion of food that is expected to enhance their growth, development, and intelligence. These boys were put under Ashpenaz, who has the mandate to ensure the expected results at the end of the period. Their food and drinks were carefully selected, and they were of the king's standard and quality. It was a legal requirement certified by the palace food and diet consultants and duly approved for the purpose it was meant for. However, despite the set quality and approval ratings and the understanding behind the process, Daniel declined and 3 others joined him. What they declined was the king's special portion, a special delicacy, an opportunity others who jumped at, struggled or do anything possible to get a bite of, but they refused it. As spicy, sweet-smelling, sumptuous and tempting the meal package was, as attractive and mouth-watering they are, they rejected it. They were not carried away by its appearance. And this was to be noted as we go ahead in this message. But why did they reject it? They rejected it because they knew who they were. They were of royal and nobility descendants. And they also remembered the law of the Lord their God, which was written on the tablets of their hearts, imprinted since they were born, and difficult to erase. Let us see some of the underlying factors. 1. To them, the meal was a strange meal, approved by the God of the Babylonians, but not their own Jehovah God. 2. They remembered the standard governing the preparation of their own meat, which must be thoroughly washed and free from blood and fat. Leviticus chapter 17, 10 to 14, and chapter 3, verse 17, and chapter 7, verses 23 to 25 explain the whole story. 3. They did not forget the book Leviticus chapter 11, where the Lord also gave them some meat that they were not supposed to eat, which are to them unclean. The Babylonians do eat them, and since the boys cannot ascertain their sources, they rejected it. And number 4, there is also the possibility that this food must have been offered to idols, which the Lord their God abhors. So they rejected it. And this means that though they were in a strange land, they did not forget the Lord their God and the laws which he gave them through Moses, his servant. So they declined. They did not go with the maxim that says, if you are in Rome, you behave like a Roman, when it will tend towards sin or against the law of Jehovah God. Note that the text I read did not say that they proposed. It has a particular reference to someone, and that is Daniel. He was the one who proposed in his heart not to defile himself with the king's meat and made a case for his other colleagues. He stood up, but only 3 others joined. The rest did not, though they were all Israelites. It was not just a plea or negotiation. It was a purposeful decision. His mind was made up. Even when Ashpenaz pleaded with him, he requested for a test period, which the Lord backed up and gave them positive results. As qualitative and rich in nutrients the king's portion was, to Daniel and the other 3, it was called defilement. It will not be tolerated by them. Never. As carefully brewed and blended to high standard, the king's mind was, they still saw it as defilement. Defilement of their lives, of their religion and heritage. Therefore, it was unacceptable to them. Though it was even a legal requirement for their office that carries also a legal document that covered them, they still rejected it, even though they have an excuse. Note that there were not just 4 of them in that group, and the exact number was not stated, but only 4 of them rejected the king's portion. Others were still Israelite boys who don't mind, as long as they have the opportunity which they did not ask for. It was their time to enjoy and have some sort of palliative in the land of captivity. To everyone who thought that no one can overcome temptation, these boys were examples to us. Joseph also was a true example of someone who will reject pleasure because they saw it as defilement of their lives before the Lord. What is your excuse for indulging in unrighteous deeds? And why will you give an "it doesn't matter" attitude to the things of God? Do you know that giving an excuse for yourself does not soften God's standard for you? Brethren, have you been defiling yourself with delicacies that does not come from the presence of God? We shall meet again to discuss in the second part of this message, and God bless you. Father, help us, O God, to guard our hearts and mind, that we may follow you to the end of our lives. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.